Hello everyone, I'm Bra Mithra, and today we're going back to the Let's Talk format, and also I'm going to be reviewing the Echoes of Death 3 and 10th Anniversary Survivors. I know everybody for Black Friday probably ordered these. It's the first time I had gotten them, and 10th Anniversary Survivors seems to be the thing that everybody, the delay was. So these are the white boxes I had never got to cover before. I've already covered Echoes of Death 1, Echoes of Death 2, and then a lot of select white boxes and the Giggle Lion all in a white box review video. So this will be another review of these two specifically. But then I also know that there's the Valentine's Day sale. So I do want to talk about Valentine's Day sale and some things for Valentine's Day that you could get, which are great, but I do want to talk about it. And I also wanted to respond to some other things from last time when I did the Let's Talk stuff. There's a lot of things that I understand. It's for opinion. A lot of things are just opinion. So, yeah, everyone's allowed to disagree and agree or disagree with things. And it's hard when someone starts to speculate on things that aren't released. So, I know the last time I did the Let's Talk about stuff with Inverted Mountain specifically, again, the main point was I was harsh on it because of the fighting art thing. And the reason why I want to bring that up again is because with the Valentine's Day sale, there is From Death to Duos Part was one of the white boxes that I do not own, but there are prototype rules in there, and I have read all the rules and I've tried to make sense of them. So I just want to, it's a warning that I'm going to speculate on said rules. But you do have the prototype version of it. But so if you just want to see just the 10th Anniversary and Echoes of Death 3 stuff, I'm going to start with that. But just a warning that because I want to talk about Valentine's Day sale and I want to try to get this up while the sale's still going on, I just want to give warning that I have no choice but to speculate on what is labeled as a prototype. So let's start with 10th Anniversary. The 10th Anniversary Survivors, first off, the 10th Anniversary Survivors actually include 2 males. Unlike the Echoes of Death, they always include just female models, and majority of white boxes are also just female models. The 10th Anniversary Survivors are the 4, the 4 mascots of the game. It's Lucy, Alistair, Ezra, and I forget the other name off the top of my head. But those are the 4 people. They're the 4 starting survivors. The 4 who are, in the Kingdom Death tutorial fight the prologue White Lion. Those are those 4 survivors. So those are the 10th Anniversary Survivors. It'll be those 4. So you do get the 2 males, which is great to have actually have males included in white boxes. So that's a huge plus. I know the Giggle Lion also included 2 males. Seems hunting parties are meant to be 2 males, 2 females. But I'm just saying that's a huge plus. So, and again, the models in these white boxes are always amazing. The Echoes of Death and these, I have not had time to put together the 10th Anniversary ones, and I've only put together one of the Echoes of Death 3, but they are amazing. So here is the pattern system. So the 10th Anniversary Survivors, the main thing you're going to be getting is this pattern system, which again, this is prototype. The pattern system will be featured in the Gambler's Chest, and it looks like it's going to have its chrome crafting table and stuff. So this is just how it's done right now. So the pattern cards represent the ingenuity of survivors. Let me just go ahead and zoom in on this. Represent the ingenuity of survivors. So here's your basic card layout. You can see here everything's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 here on the layout, and then what everything represents. So you get the name of the card, the arc. It doesn't have any use right now for use in the monster requirements. So you can see here it says Insight and White Lion on here. So this means that you need to be using a campaign that someone triggers Insight, which is kind of sucky because people of the people of the stars, you don't trigger Insight, so that kind of sucks. And you know, kind of shows that he didn't really think about that. But then here's also White Lion. So in order to use this particular pattern, you'd have to have the White Lion and be playing in something where Insight is in. So it would have just been better had this just said +3 understanding, or triggers the understanding milestone, because then it could have been the awake or awoken or whatever that it happens to people of the stars. Either way, again, these are prototype rules. I don't want to get into it with prototype rules, and I don't want to get into speculating again. So just going to take it for what it is. As it is right now, you need to trigger Insight or you can't use this. So, and you also need to have a White Lion for this one specifically. So then you have the crafting limit. This is the maximum number of times a pattern card can be crafted. Then the number, that's for just organization. The recipe itself, you see here, is the top black. Let me zoom in a little bit more. So you have the top black here. This one is a cat eye circlet, a sinew, and golden whiskers. This is the consumable. This is the ones, these are what will actually be used up. And then below here is the crafting process. And this describes how gear is crafted. Bold terms are essential to the process. They must be found in your settlement. These can be resources, innovations, or survivors with specific characteristics. They are required but not consumed, used, or spent. So then if you look over here, that would be, so in order to craft this Calceric eye tack, you would need to consume a cat eye circlet, a sinew, and a gold whiskers. Those would be spent. But then you would also need to have a lion tail in the settlement. You need to have a way of generating heat in the settlement, and then ammonia innovation also in the settlement. So even though they're not spent, you can't make it without that, and you can't make it without the 3 resources. So very interesting, a very awesome new rule set here. So then we also have how you do the pattern deck itself. So with the patterns currently, as they currently are now, again, it's probably going to change. Gambler's Chest is going to change all this. This is not how it's going to be. Gambler's Chest will have a whole new way of doing it. But as it is right now, before starting your campaign, you examine your pattern cards. Remove any duplicate pattern cards and pattern cards that require monsters not found in your campaign. Again, the only one right now in this box would be the White Lion. So if you're not using the White Lion, which I don't know how you would not use it because it's the only prologue right now. It's the only prologue monster. So it's going to be in everything. So then you'd shuffle all remaining patterns to create the pattern deck. So you shuffle them all together. And then when a survivor reaches the Insight milestone, the sudden shift in perspective is accompanied by a new idea. Draw a random pattern card from the pattern deck. Record it on your settlement record sheet. The settlement has access to the pattern for the rest of this campaign. So that's awesome. Then, any patterns gained by the settlement may be crafted during the development stage of the settlement phase. Spend the resources in the crafting recipe, which is section 6, which is the black, which is what I was talking about, and ensure that all requirements of the crafting process are present, which is the 3 or however many, which was the ones below the black banner, and then you gain the gear. So that is how the pattern system works for the 10th anniversary survivors. I think the pattern system is awesome. It's just like a whole narrative story to even creating gear and things. It's also a nice way to mix and match things outside of campaigns, or say with expansions or things. If there were ever patterns that required certain campaigns or stuff like that, you could mix and match them. Or say you wanted to pull from somewhere, you could create a pattern card, include it with an expansion. That way you could do patterns to still get that gear, and then you're not always dependent on like making sure that everything that comes with an expansion requires that expansion monster to craft. So that's pretty cool. Like, for instance, with the Flower Knight, if they would have included patterns, then you could have had that gear that's only available in the People to Bloom. You could have gotten it outside of that campaign, which would have been great. So now let's look at the included patterns. Here are the included patterns. Starting off with the plated shield. So what I did was I just went ahead and scanned all these. So I'll just have to hold the picture and everything rather than use the card itself. So here's the plated shield. As you can see here, this one requires you to have a monster grease, a round leather shield, and 3 scrap. Those are what will need to be archived to make it. Then you will, this will also have stone noses, metal armor, which is a very interesting thing. The thing that's very unique about these is the design space for what is required and what isn't required for gaining cards or using gear. So it happens in Echoes of Death 3 too, which I'll talk about. It's actually very cool. I like the fact that you have different requirements, or thinking outside the box on what exactly goes into what is crafted, or what exactly goes into having a fighting guard. So it's very cool. So that's the plated shield. I'm just going to go over all these and then we'll actually talk about the gear, which I'll spend more time on. Here's Tempered Axe, which is a bone axe, leather, and a scrap. So essentially what you're doing is upgrading a bone axe when you use this, the Tempered Axe, which is great because bone axes are nice. See, that's another thing that's really, really cool when you think about it. There are some weapons which you want. So take, for example, my last season, right? I could have hunted Gorm more often and got a Gorm axe or the Greater Gax or whatever. Either way, to get to axes. But you saw I spent time with the Lantern Glaives because they're axes and spears. It was easy to get spear because of how weapon proficiency works. You always want to take spears out with you so people gain spears and stuff. But with the bone axe, it could break, and you don't want to craft it because it's just going to break, and it limits to what you're going to fight. Like, you can't go right from bone axe. You can't go right to, like, you have to watch when you bring it to the butcher, so you don't really want to craft it right away because butcher comes right away. Or if you're dependent on bone axe, you don't want to really go right to the antelope. You can, but it's things like that where you need to be more worried about what is and what isn't indestructible, or what will break a frail weapon. So at least with this Tempered Axe, a way to upgrade the bone axe is nice, because you do want to get axe proficiency. Like I was saying, I didn't have axe proficiency with like anybody in my last season, even though I knew I was going to be using axes at the end. It would have been nice to have an axe master, but I just never went that route with axes. So not only is Tempered Axe good, which I'll get into, Tempered Axe is really good, but the fact that it's an upgradable step, it's awesome. This is amazing. I really love that this stuff like this happens. So then this one, like I said, it's a bone axe, leather, and a scrap, ammonia, scrap smelting. So now you have the, the Telseric Eye Tack, which is, it's just a palindrome for Cat Eye Circlet. It's just Cat Eye Circlet in reverse. So this requires Cat Eye Circlet, Gold Whiskers, Sinew, and this is the one that was on the pattern card itself, so I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Then we have Vault Key Earrings. These require a Cyclops Fly, which is something to do with Cyclops Flies. I think Cyclops, I forget now if Cyclops Flies is accuracy, but either way, Cyclops Flies are always something I always had laying around, and I think it's because, again, this could just be off the top of my head, but I think they're the ones that are linked to the Phoenix for cooking, and Phoenix and Lion double linked for cooking are not the kind of things you want to be really hunting all the time. So I usually end up with Cyclops Flies laying around. So another use for a Cyclops Fly is great. It also has bone, Broken Lantern, Cyclops Fly, but it also gives someone something to do when they have fear the dark, which I think I had 2 or 3 people in my campaign that had fear of the dark. So that's awesome. That it gives someone stuff to do. And not only that, Vault Key Earrings are also really cool, and I'll talk about them in a second. So You need Fear the Dark, Heat, and then Fur Armor. So, unlike this one, it just says you just need Fur Armor. So, it doesn't necessarily mean wear. Like the other ones had the, metal armor. This just needs fur anywhere. Then Tempered Spear here. Again, Scrap Sword, which is great because I think if you saw, again, I don't want to give examples for how everybody plays, and I definitely do not play Kingdom Death the best way. I'm not the best at Kingdom Death. There's people out there who are better. But it gets to a point where you have those dead survivors or dead monsters or whatever, and it's just not, sometimes just not worth searching them because you're just going to get that, like a scrap sword or, like a scrap dagger, and you don't really want that. It's not really helping you. It doesn't really do anything. But here with Tempered Spear, gives you a reason to at least search it, and you don't want to always waste scrap. So if you do end up with a scrap sword, here's something for it, which is just great. Might be giving him too much credit when saying that, but finding uses for things that don't have use in the game is great design, right? Something that is going to happen, like drawing a dead survivor for your terrain, then just not wanting to ever use it or never go into it. But now, at least with Tempered Spirit, you have a reason to. So, again, Scrap Sword, 2 bone, cloth, and a leather. Again, cloth, same thing. Cloth is what you start off with the... it's the waist armor you start with. That's a cloth. Now, the weird thing about this Tempered Spear is I know in the Gambler's chest, it's like bloodied cloth instead of cloth. So that will kind of suck if you can't even make this because you don't have the cloth. So that's kind of weird. And then it's Scrap Smelting and Bone Club. And then finally, Tempered Dagger here, which again, bone, leather, scrap, and a scrap dagger. Same thing I was talking about with the scrap sword. So, and then Scrap Smelting and a Founding Stone to make the scrap dagger. So, those are the patterns themselves. That's all the patterns. That's what's included in the 10th anniversary. Now we'll look at all these gear that these patterns make. Here's the gear itself. So here's Tempered Dagger first. So Tempered Dagger is a 3-speed, 7 accuracy, 4 strength, and it's also paired. You can see it's also metal and a dagger, of course. While using dagger specialization, you may discard all other drawn hit locations to gain that much luck for your second attempt to wound to that hit location. This is really, really, really smart, the way this one is worded, just because you could choose how you want to hit things, right? There's impervious locations and stuff that you can't wound there anyway, or the only way you could possibly wound there would be with a critical, right? And unless those things also have first strike, there's some things where you just can't even wound on it. So why not put something first that has a critical and then discard those anyway, because you couldn't get a wound result out of it, so you might as well just discard all the other ones behind whatever it is you want to crit. I don't know if he could be credited to be thinking like that when he's designing, but that is so cool that is stuff you can do. Knowing the game, playing it out like that, thinking that there's probably a chance where I might cat eye circle it and I might see, hey, I'm not going to be able to wound the next 3 cards, but I could crit one of them. So you know what? How about I just attack with the dagger person? He gets 3 attacks, and then I just discard all of them and I crit. Or you use these paired, get 6 speed, hit all of it, hope you don't draw the trap, and then just focus down on one crit that has like gain +1 permanent movement, gain +1 permanent strength, gain +1 permanent luck or whatever. I don't think there is one that's plus permanent luck. I think there's movement, strength, and accuracy, I think. Either way, there could be luck eventually. And either way, you could focus on that crit location, discard the other 5, gain yourself +5. It's almost a guaranteed crit. So it's a dangerous design thing to be putting in where you'd be crit farming, but the antelope you crit farm anyway. It's already part of the game, and daggers are rarely ever used. So with this, I'm making this after Season 1 has started, or as Season 1's already stopped for me. So with season 2, I'm looking to do something different and new, and this will be part of it. The 10th anniversary, these pattern system and all those stuff, and the echoes things I'm going to be doing and stuff. But last time, well, it's not just last time. Pretty much all the time when you play Kingdom Death, you're going to go like Spears, Fist and Tooth, Shield, Mastery. Those are probably going to be the 3 things you have on 3 of your 4 survivors for the first 10 Lantern years, probably, until you can max out your get your specializations in those. Those are what usually the game goes down. And then your 4th one you just play around with. Maybe you substitute an axe. But with this, with stuff like this, where daggers can actually start potentially being something good and worth using all the way to the end game. The Giggle Line also did that dagger is amazing. But when you have stuff like this, improving unique ways, because sometimes you might not even have your 4th person be the specialist. Right? You might not even... You're probably going to try to wound with everybody, but maybe not. Maybe you just try to wound with the shield, or the person with the shield will be your tank. Then you'll try to use a bow user or a spear user, and you'll wound with them. And then Fist and Tooth, you'll just throw that in, get that, and then that person will rawhide, headband, and cat eye circle for the rest of the time. Maybe you try something else. Maybe you do just the person who's normally cat eye circle, your buff debuff spot, your party spot. Maybe you just throw in a dagger user, and you're just like, well, I'm just gonna, when I need that 1 crit. Maybe that's it. Maybe you just know it's like, well, when I know I can crit here, I could maybe kill him with the 1 in 10 chance. So you just use a Dagger Master, just go right in, get that crit right away. It's like these tech cards. Tech cards are things that you, like deck builder games, they have tech cards. Like this, tech options for the Tempered Dagger. It's great and it's awesome. So now on to the the cat eye circlet one here. So after talking about, you know what, let's talk about vault earrings. So here's vault key earrings. While you have this in your gear grid, choose one of your disorders and ignore its effects. That's awesome. That's another tech card. You put this on someone who has fear of the dark. You put this on someone who has like what's the other one? The flower addiction, where they must go out and they can only depart if they're going to hunt the flower knight, or megalophobia, right? Where they can't depart at all because they can't depart on something that's less than, or no, they can't depart if the monster's more than 3 squares big or whatever. So again, tech cards with these Valky earrings. These 2 things are awesome. The dagger and the earrings are just great. All right, the palindrome here for the cat eye circlet. As you can see, the Telserict Eye Tact. This is spend an action, roll 3 hit location dice, and note the results. Okay. The next time you are hit, use one of these results. Discard the remaining noted results. I don't see why this would ever be better than doing your action. It's not that it's a terrible thing. I don't know. It's just not good. I don't see why you would ever really use this, especially since it costs the cat eye circlet. I don't get this one at all. There's probably maybe if there was some future monster that could go through break, or not block, could break through block or break through deflect, or so. I don't know why you wouldn't be spending your action to do that. And especially with deflect, well, we'll talk about deflect here in a second. Normally deflect, you can't even get to like the end game at all. And I mean, I don't really know. I mean, maybe if this was a lantern keyword on it, if this had a lantern keyword, if this Telserict Eye Tac was like a lantern somehow, then maybe this would be good. Other than that, this is terrible. It's not terrible. I don't get it. So let's talk about tempered axes here. Again, they are paired. You could make 2 of them with the crafting thing. I know most of the other ones you can only make one of. This you can make two of. So with the Tempered Axe, it's a 2-speed, 6+ accuracy, 6+ strength. This is the one that is upgraded version of the Bone Axe, essentially. So it drops the frail. And then when you use axe specialization, your second attempt to wound the selected hit location gains sharp. That's awesome. I mean, this is just awesome in itself. By itself, just even one of these is good. You don't even need to pair these. This is just pairing them is also good. I don't know. The axe specialization isn't really the greatest when it's paired, but yeah, it's still great. I mean, these are great. Just one of these is great. So this makes it so pretty much you don't have to add Gorm. I mean, Gorm's great and all, but Gorm used to just be, well, I need an early axe, so I need Gax, or I need greater Gax. That's it. But now you don't need that. Tempered Axe is good enough. It's better. Actually, I think, like I said, having other abilities or other options available to you to work towards something like axe specialization is great. So I'm super happy with Tempered Axe here. I think this is the best one just overall. Of all of them, Tempered Axe is the best one overall. No tech, no gimmick to it. This is just a very, very powerful item. Like, this is a very powerful weapon. Tempered Dagger again. So now we have Tempered Spear. So this is a metal spear, 2-speed, 5+ accuracy, 5 strength, with very weird and not easy to complete affinities. However, it does add +1 to your spear specialization rolls with this weapon, which is awesome. That's like, I think it makes it like a 55% chance of you can't. No. What was it before? It was, I think it's a 50% chance of you canceling it now, because it used to be a 7+, so it brings it down to like a 6+. So it's like a 50% chance of canceling the trap almost now. I think it's a 45% chance. It's hard with dice rolls specifically, because there's always it's not an exact thing. I think there's ways to re-roll it, so it's not an exact science. It's not like just saying, well, makes it a 6 or a 4 out of 10 chance. Well, it's not exactly that. So I know it's. Why are you having trouble calculating it? I think it's because there's another dice probability doesn't work the same as regular probability, and I think there might be other factors in it that let you re-roll. Either way, that's awesome. It also clears up spear. I know the weird thing is there's going to be another spear in 1.6. So hopefully he took that into account and didn't just do this with that spear. You never know, but hopefully he thought about it. So I think this is really good. I think this is just complicated to do the affinities with. So I think King Spear was already pretty good. I think this is good enough. I think it's better than King Spear, and it's better than Lantern Halberd, maybe. Lantern Halberd is at least a lantern, so if you're playing People of Lantern, you don't have to carry around lanterns all the time. Next up is Plated Shield here. And speaking of Deflect, this is always better than Leather Shield, because Deflect is just better than Block. So it just sucks that it's frail, but what can you do, right? Maybe eventually, maybe there'll be some way of making this like an oxidized Plated Shield or something. I love Plated Shield just because I want Plated Shield, and I want a spear use or a shield proficient person who has Shielderang would be awesome. Just that's what I want to happen. I want to have a Plated Shield Shielderang survivor. So, but either way, getting access to Deflect faster in the game is much better. So overall, 10th anniversary survivors, I think are great. What you get with them, I think, is just absolutely amazing. I think 10th Anniversary is one of the better boxes to get. Of all the white boxes, I think 10th Anniversary is one of the best for overall value, which is why I wanted to review these and not just do a review of these two new white boxes, the two new ones to me. I know Echoes of Death is technically new, came out on Black Friday, but it's only a couple months old. But 10th Anniversary came out last year. I just couldn't get it. So they're new to me. But with the Valentine's Day sale, with Death to His Part and stuff, I want to talk about those. So what I would think are the best white boxes, but I think 10th Anniversary is the best value of all of them for the price you can get it at. If you can get it on a Black Friday, then it's only $25, and it's totally worth it. Way more worth it. This adds way more than even some of the Echoes. I know that so you have to evaluate it with Echoes, because you're going to get 4 models, which are all are amazing, and then you're going to get a limited amount of playable content. However, with the 10th Anniversary, you're going to get it. You're going to use it. There's no way not to get it, not to unlock it. You're going to trigger Insight. In fact, you can trigger Insight even without even sending people out. So even if there were like 50 cards in your pattern deck, eventually once you get Graves and Clan of Death, I think it is, you're just born with Insight. So you'll just be drawing pattern cards when you're born. So this, you're going to use it. And the fact that it's so, like, the design space is more of, like, tech and helping gear choice, getting to things you're going to want to use, but early on. I think, either way, 10th Anniversary Survivors are awesome. I'm so happy I got them. So now let's talk Echoes of Death 3. Here's the Echoes of Death 3, the Strain System, version 1.1, which is Echoes of Death Series 3. Echoes of Death includes 4 Strain milestone cards. Each one describes a rare milestone event that, if reached, will add unique thematic fighting arts to your fighting art deck forever. So it's the same thing that's of all of them. The only thing is here at the bottom here, it says, when you start a new campaign, if you have earned more than 5 Strain fighting arts, you must randomly determine which 5 to add to your fighting arts deck. All other earned Strain fighting arts should be stored in your game box for later campaigns. That's fine. I don't think it makes a difference. I don't think any of them are so powerful that you shouldn't be using them all if you wanted to use them all. I could see not wanting to use them all because you want to keep your fighting art deck thin. But some of these fighting arts are really ridiculous to unlock. The Echoes of Death 2 one, which I've talked about before, that one is really insanely difficult to unlock. You need like to lose the game 25 times or 30 times or something to get ocular parasites. Like, that's crazy. So if you were to unlock that, obviously you've unlocked all the other ones. So for you to unlock that and then not get it in your next game, that would suck. So that sucks that you have to randomly do it, but whatever. You should be able to choose. And besides, some of them are really good, like Backstabber and stuff. You might only want to use that if you're playing a game where you want to go daggers. So I don't understand that, but either way, I would say you could just pick the 5. I get the limit, but I don't like the randomly determining it. So let's look at the strains. Here are the strains that are included in Echoes of Death 3. So a survivor archives 4 resources from their hoarder disorder. Then permanent effect. Permanently add Stockist to your fighting art deck. The survivor gains Stockist. Then you also have this condition. The survivors are defeated by the Gold Smoke Knight. This is the one I just did in my playthrough. And then permanently add Armored Fist to your fighting art deck. Permanently add Vermin Fiddler Crab Spider to your fighting art deck. Which is weird because you permanently add the Fiddler Crab Spider to your Vermin deck. Or we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. So now, here's the other two. So, Carnage Worms. A crazed survivor witnesses a settlement with cannibalized endeavor 8 times at sacrifice in a single year. That's really weird. I don't even know why. It's weird. You would do that just to unlock this. Then you permanently add Dark Manifestation to your fighting art deck. The survivor gains Dark Manifestation. Then you have Sweet Stained Oath. A survivor gains a sword during the hunt or showdown and uses it to deliver the killing blow that lantern year. So, this can be done with like the Twilight Sword. On a hunt event, I think you can get the Twilight Sword, or by searching one of those bodies which I was talking about on the dead monster. I think also dead survivor, they can get scrap swords. So then you want to be doing it, and then doing this, and then delivering the lantern, or final blow in that lantern year. There's also another white box, which I talked about, the White Speaker Sword Hunter, that has another hunt event where you can get a sword. So you'd want to use that too. So, and then permanently add Sword Oath to your fighting art deck. The survivor gains Sword Oath. Add Settlement Event, Acid Rain to the next lantern year in your timeline. Very neat. So these are the strains. So let's look at the gear. Here are the gear, but first I'm going to start with the Fiddler Crab Spider. So this is the thing that's permanently added to the Vermin deck. Now, the strain system doesn't tell you to check the Vermin deck. It just tells you to check the Fighting Art deck, and if there are more than 5 in there, then you remove it. So with the Fiddler Crab, consume, archive this, gain the Armored Fist Fighting Art. So theoretically, if you had to remove Armored Fist because you had more than 5, could you just not eat this? Or could you just not include Armor Fist and then eat this and then gain Armored Fist anyway? Like the ones that are not added in, so the ones you've earned, the fighting arts that you've earned that are then not added into the fighting art deck, are they then like a secret fighting art that you now get via some other means? It's very weird, but either way, I like it. I like the fact that 1, it's a Gold Smoke Knight interaction. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. I like 2, the fact that it doesn't hurt your limitation. That's the way I'm reading it. You wouldn't have to add Armor Fist. Keep the Fiddler Crab Spider. Now you still have 5 slots for your strain fighting arts, and then Armor Fist isn't taking up one of them, but you still have the Fiddler Crab. Kind of sucks that Fiddler Crab will dilute my Vermin deck forever, but hey, Lantern or Screaming Antelope and the Tick, I could never draw them anyway, so who cares? Dark Manifestation. So here's the one that would require sacrifice 8 times in 1 lantern year. Wow. So once per round, at the start of your act, you may spend the requisite insanity to perform one of the following abilities. So if you spend 3, you gain +2 strength until the end of the round. If you spend 6, you perform block 1. If you 13, you are adjacent to the monster, you roll a d10 on a 6 plus, you touch the monster and it suffers 1 wound. That's just an automatic wound. So that's pretty cool. I don't know. I mean, you'd have to exploit the game pretty hard, and if you did exploit the game a lot and get out yourself, because there are many ways in this game, 2 or 3 ways I can think of where you can get like infinite insanity, and if you want to do that, then this is amazing, because then you could just keep spending 13 insanity to just wound monsters constantly, and if you use that exploit all the time, you could just kill things instantly without even really doing anything. So, but on a practical note, you don't gain weapon proficiency from doing this. You don't even draw the hit location card or anything like that. So it's very niche, very what you would ever want to actually do with this. So here's Sword Oath next. So Sword Oath, when you gain this, write the name of any sword gear on your record sheet. Note each time you wound with the named sword. So, I like this. I think it's awesome. I think it's a neat thing. Normally, I wouldn't like this because there's already too much bookkeeping in this. However, I think this one is not too bad because you're writing the name of the sword on the record sheet. You're not writing it like on the survivor or something like that. You're just writing it on the record sheet, and then anybody could use that sword. Even if the person loses the sword oath ability, that sword still has the name. So I think it's a cool little thing. And then if you have, so you do have to wound 18 times with the person with the sword oath. 18 times with this sword, it gains Devastating 1 and Sentient while you have it equipped. When you suffer the flee brain trauma, you lose the fighting art. There's a lot of things. If you play Kingdom Death the way it is, meant to be played with pen and paper, I don't think this is that bad of bookkeeping. It's just writing a name down on a sword. And then keeping track of the sword. There's very rare instances of where you'd ever want to really use this. But this will be fun. Spoiler, Season 2. So here's our fist, the one in question that you gain from eating this. This is super interesting right here. Requires fist and tooth proficiency. Now, I don't like the wording of this so much. Because you could get Fist of Tooth proficiency if there's a master in the settlement, but I'm assuming the intended wording of this would mean that you have the 3 skill up. I think. Or not. Well, if you just have a Fist of Tooth master, then anybody can eat this thing and anybody can gain this armor fist. So, I don't know how it's supposed to work, but that's what it reads. So that's how it works. If there's a mastery, everybody has Fist and Tooth proficiency. So, and then your Fist and Tooth attacks gain strength equal to the current armor value of your arm's hit location. Very cool. Very just niche, very tech, but at least it comes with the vermin, so at least you have ways of triggering it. So at least you can focus what you want, who you want this to be on, because you could just keep the crab in your settlement, wait around for you to get someone who you want to have Fist and Tooth mastery with, or someone who's got like Monster Claw fighting style or something, and you just give them this. You just have them eat the thing. So that's great. Fist and Tooth survivors are very hard to build. For one reason, they're not hard to build at all for other reasons, which I'm going to get into, which is why, again, this is also considered a Let's Talk and not just a straight-up review. Then finally, Stockist here, who, this amazing, I think, I love the sculpt for her, the one with the bow user who's also the Sunstalker, who's wearing the Sunstalker gear. I think that's great. That's one thing I like about the Echoes of Death. Well, I'll get into it in a second. Let me talk about the Stockist. So you may concentrate, and then that's, concentrate is already another keyword. If you do, perform Stack Shot at the end of your next act. So, and then here's Stack Shot. Activate a bow in your gear grid and attack the monster. For this attack, your bow's range and strength are equal to the number of resources in the settlement storage. Limit once per showdown phase. So, not the most amazing, but very niche, and a lot of fighting arts aren't great on bow users. There's a lot of fighting arts where they're just kind of wasted on bow users, because bow users are either one, always hanging outside of range of the monster stuff. So there's a lot of fighting arts which are just not going to be good. There's a lot of fighting arts where a bow user is never even going to consider using them. So why not just throw this on a bow user? It's that kind of thing. I know you can't selectively do it, but if a bow user happened to get this, it's not unusable. Whereas the other time, what I'm saying is there are many fighting arts where you would draw that are useless. So sure, this may not be the best thing on anyone, but at least it's not useless for the person it's designed for, which I think is a good thing. This could have been the same thing. This could have been drawable from your fighting art deck, which then could just be useless, and now you've not gained anything from age because you drew this, you didn't have proficiency, and now you just don't get anything. So it could be that. And it's not that. So sure, if you draw this with someone who has no intention of using a bow, it's bad. But I don't know. I think it's okay. I don't think there's much. It seems overpowered, but you can only do it once per showdown. I guess if you're just going to go for like the luck kill or the luck ranged attacks where you're just going for criticals, then the unlimited range plus amazing amount of luck. If you Cat Eye Circuited and wanted to guarantee a knockdown on the monster or something that wasn't a level 3 monster, like it's not indomitable, then early game this is really good. I just think this is average. I just think it's an average one. So, Echoes of Death 3. What do I think about Echoes of Death 3? I think Echoes of Death 3 is amazing. I like all the Echoes of Death anyway. I think... So here's what I was going to say with the models of Echoes of Death. Same thing with the Go Lion. I think if you're going to make white box content that's going to be $50, like the Giggle Lion I think is $75, but that at least gives you somewhat of a new monster, somewhat. But if you're going to make it include game content, and you're going to be putting it at the same price as some expansions, you should at least make sure that the included survivors, one, make use of the fighting arts that are included. That's cool. So you have someone that represents the fighting art that's included. All the Echo Deaths have done that, so that's neat. But they incorporate out other gears. Sorry, my phone rang and then I had to take that call. So what I was saying was they should incorporate the expansion monsters, because outside, let's just assume that the reprints of the original expansion monsters never happened, right? Now I'm talking the original 12 and Gorm and Flower, or the Green Armor, Flower Knight, stuff like that. Those models are those narrative sculpts only, right? But now with Stockist, for example, you have another Sunstalker armor, right? Outside of the 4 that you got with just Sunstalker. I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that those original expansions aren't going to be reprinted again, just because of Campaigns of Death. I'm not saying they won't. They will be reprinted. I'm saying they won't be redone to include new, different survivor narrative sculpts moving forward, right? So this is a cool thing that the Echoes of Death are doing. And it's the same with, this is the Dragon armor. I know Giggle Lion included like a Gorm armor person. The last Echoes of Death 2, I have it here. Oh, Echoes of Death had someone with Gloomhammer. I'm pretty sure that person had Gloomhammer or some kind of mace. Echoes of Death 1, I forget what that one had. But at least that's something. That's cool. It's not a and they're new poses and they're new survivors, so that's great. So I like that. That's something cool, and the fact that they represent the fighting art is also very cool. So, and the models are always amazing. So that's a great, neat thing to do. On top of all that, you also get the the fighting arts and the strain system and stuff, and with the 10th anniversary, the same thing, you get the patterns and stuff, and if they come down to $25 on a Black Friday or something, it's all great. So, Echoes of Death 3 I think is great. I think Echoes of Death 3 just with the Giggle Lion thing, or not the Giggle Lion, the Gold Smoke Knight thing is really cool. That was probably the strain that he was talking about adding in 1.6, because he was talking about adding a strain, a Gold Smoke Knight strain. It probably was that one. It just got added to Echoes of Death 3. Plus, new vermin. It's a lot of cool stuff. And these fighting arts aren't terrible. I like Sword Oath. It's very cool. I also like Armored Fist. Very cool fighting arts. The other ones, whatever. They're not bad. So that's fine. All the stuff, that's what you should be getting for $50. So Now let's get into the, just discussion thing real quick. Just a little bit of a discussion. So let's talk about the Valentine's Day sale. So for Valentine's Day, the main thing I saw here was the Death Till Us Part. There's still some in stock as I'm recording this video. 56 are still in stock. This is $50. So what this includes is this prototype content, which is what this is talking about here. And it also includes these two survivors, which are the intimacy survivors. These are the same intimacy survivors that are also included in 1.5. Granted, they just have a different pose. These ones have the founding stones where the other ones had swords. But they're not new survivors, and there's only 2 of them, not 4 of them. And there's nothing else besides for this prototype content. And these are also photo resin. So photo resin is the 3D printed orange ones, which aren't bad, but they're not... I've seen complaints about the quality of those, but I don't know. Either way, I'm torn on this one. This is what I wanted to talk about. Let's talk about what this devoted union... There's actually another one on the other side of this. So these are the bonding principles. So this is from the wiki. I don't have Till Death Do You Part. I think Till Death Do You... Or what is it? Yeah, Till Death Do Us Part is great prototype material on one side. So here's the bonding principle you get. Bonding principle is set of so again, this is speculative. All right, I can't help but speculate on this stuff. Okay, I'm just gonna say my feelings about it, and I'm not going to try to garner what future stuff will come from, or whether or not it's a good design idea, like I did with Inverted Mountain or whatever. Okay, I'm just gonna... This is what we have already. This is what the prototype looks like, and what my feelings about Death to Us Part are. So this is another white box. So this is prototype content. When your settlement innovates partnership, select a bonding principle, Enduring Legacy or Devoted Union. And as you saw, Devoted Union is this one here. Enduring Legacy is on the other side. So, Devoted Union. Spend 2 endeavors. Nominate 2 survivors. They gain partner ability, which they can only do once per lifetime. And the partner ability, partners may only nominate each other for intimacy. When your partner dies, you gain a random disorder and lose this partner ability. Great. Perfectly worded here. Really good. This is really good wording. I think this is actually really cool. During the survivor's turn, while you and your partner are within range of the monster, you may perform a combined attack. Limit once per round. Okay. This is not worded terribly. So it's, within range. So I don't know how you would determine range. Being in range of what? If one person is within 1 square, the other person's using a bow, they could be like 8 squares away, but they're still technically within range. So I guess that would count. Then you make the combined attack. Partners each spend an action. And activate a weapon, which I don't know how you could do that. I guess you would surge. I guess one of them would have to spend a survival to surge, and then spend it right away to do the combined attack. But the partner would have to surge because one person is doing this on their turn. They're the one triggering the combined attack. So you'd have to surge somehow. Either when you surge, you're supposed to spend it immediately. So I guess somehow you'd be able to surge during someone else's attack. even though you're not supposed to be able to. And then they simultaneously make attack rolls, determining hits based on their individual accuracy. Okay, so that's just saying, with sake of argument, they're each rolling 2 speed. So they each roll their 2, and then they determine how many hits they have before you move forward. So let's say the bow user would hit twice, the person who had a shield hits once. That's 3 hits. Even though you had 4 speed, you now have 3 hits. Then you draw hit locations for all 3 of them. Then you resolve the hit locations one at a time. So if you draw the trap, that would still have to be resolved first, and then you would choose which survivor attempts to wound each location, including the trap. So then you would select who would trigger the trap, right? So, I guess, yeah. Okay, so this all makes sense in theory, except for how you would even do this, because you can't do this like this, right, as the rules are right now. And then each partner may not make more wound attempts than the number of their attack rolls. So, I don't know exactly how this would work, because their attack rolls is equal to their speed. So, let's say the bow user got to re-roll, right? Let's say the bow user rolled 2 dice, re-rolled both of them, then rolled 2 more dice, right? That they technically rolled 4 attacks rolls. They had 4 attack rolls there because they get to re-roll misses because they're a bow specialist. But even though they only landed 2 hits, so this should say each partner may not make more wound attempts than the number of hits, not attack rolls. So it should say hits. Then again, this is all prototype, and I think this is all going to change. Because this can't even happen. It's a disaster as is right now. So that's how Devoted Union works. In a sense, you just have to play with the home ruling this a little bit, where this should read attacks, or hits, not attack rolls. And this should be one person must surge to be part of the combined attack, because you can't have activations outside of... It's just weird. But here's the one that's really cool. So Enduring Legacy, this is the other side, right? So you get to pick one of the 2 here. When you innovate partnership, you pick one of the 2. And then your partnership innovation just becomes this. So, Enduring Legacy. Nominate 2 survivors. Spend 2 endeavors. They gain partner ability, limit once per lifetime. Partner's name. Partners may only nominate each other for intimacy, and when your partner dies, you gain a random disorder. It's the same thing as up there. Same exact wording. Children of partners may inherit 1 point of positive attribute and 1 fighting art from among their parents. This is awesome. This is absolutely amazing. And that's where it should just end. The sentence should just end there, and none of this other stuff should be there, because the other stuff is where it gets crazy. But this is just absolutely awesome. It promotes a really neat type family-oriented playthrough and narrative playthrough, which is what the game was supposed to be like. So it's really cool. This right there, this should just be the end of the sentence. Then it goes into all these other things. They gain these benefits when parents give birth or adopt. Cool. Very inclusive to include adopting. During the settlement phase, partners may adopt an unnamed survivor that has never departed the settlement. Okay, cool. Survivors may only inherit from their parents once per lifetime. Okay, also cool. When parents have 3+ children, their family is complete. Okay. They retire and stop having children forever. Okay. Now let's get into what having 3+ children and their family is complete even means. So I guess if you didn't innovate partnership right away and you innovated partnership later, and then you'd already had twins or something with parents, or maybe you would, maybe you select them as parents, and one of the what if they have pre-existing children, right? before you gave them this partner ability. Do those children count? Or what if their children die? Do they still count? What happens if they don't have what if they've had 3 children, but they're all dead? They still retire? And what is it that makes them retire? Is it like they actually retire? So when, like, retire here is this: when the final Hunt XP box is filled, the survivor retires. Some disorders of severe injury also force retirement. Okay, so what is it that they're retired from? Do they gain all this Hunt experience? Could you ignore it with the Vault Key earring? Is it a disorder? No, they just retire, I guess. But, okay, so do the children need to be alive? That's the question. Do the children, is it a combined thing? Because what happens if you had one person who already had 1 kid, another person who already had 1 kid, then they become partners, right? Because their other partner died. It's almost like, see, because you could have multiple partners. So you have a partner, then when the partner dies, they got a random disability, they lose this. They could get a new one, right? So then if they lost it and the other partner died, they lost this ability, could you then do it again and reset the number of kids? It's so weird. But anyway, I don't want to get into that. I think this Enduring Legacy is absolutely amazing. I think it makes Till Death Do Us Part almost worth it to buy it on itself. But this could have been fixed. Till Death Do Us Part was released a while back. See, this is like 2018 is when this picture was taken. So this picture itself was 2018, almost 3 years ago probably, because it probably was 2018 Valentine's Day. So now you're getting this reprinted. And not only that, you're reprinting it at your own 3D printers, right? Because you're using the photoresin, you're going to reprint these yourself with your own photoresin. These are the ones you've been doing in-house. Why don't you update this? This 3-year-old prototype material, why don't you at least clarify the wording on this? I'm sure whatever this was prototyped as 3 years ago is probably done now, right? You said you were sending Gambler's Chest off to the printers Chinese New Year. I don't like the fact that this was just disregarded, right? And there's so many problems with this wording. Like, I also don't like the fact that supposedly the reason why things take so long is because he has such high quality standards that everything needs to meet his standards before he'll even push it through. This is just so low standards. This is so low, this prototype material here. And I get it, it's labeled as prototype material. And again, I don't want to go down another inverted mountain road, so I'm just going to stop talking. But this is a card that he's in-house printing. Just update it. Clarify it a little bit more, or put in what actually isn't the prototype anymore with this if you're going to sell for $50. These aren't even new survivors. They're not like the Echoes where they're new sculpts or whatever. These are old sculpts that you're photo resin printing on your own 3D printer, and it's... Okay. But anyway, why I'm not going to get it. And I own all kinds of stuff, right? I own almost all the Kingdom Death stuff. But this legendary card pack, right? I'm assuming that this here is promised content for a single select release figures, or promised content for Pinups of Death 2 collection, and a surprise or two, right? So what I'm hoping for this 1.6, there was also this other white box, which I want to talk about, was this white speaker miniature, right? This is another white box that had this, the speaker Colt knife was included in this. Where's speaker Colt knife? Yes, this was a limited release, so hopefully the gear from these boxes will get included, but you never know. But speaker Colt knife. Here's speaker Colt knife. I'm hoping this is in the 1.6 box, because as I was talking with the tempered daggers and stuff, speaker Colt knife is absolutely amazing. It's a dagger with fist and tooth. This is a fist and tooth weapon, right? This is a fist and tooth weapon that has deadly and sharp on it, that could then gain more from the Echoes of Death 3 fighting art, and could gain more from acid palms. This speaker Colt knife is absolutely crazy, and it's like the best dagger you could possibly get. And I hope it's in 1.6, because having a fist and tooth weapon that's an actual weapon is such a cool idea. And the other thing, the prototype is probably this. See, this is one of the updates from the Kickstarter. I forget what update this is. Update 32. This is Christmas 2016. This is the Axe family. This is probably what that family prototype was probably for. And the Axeman family will be included in the Gambler's Chest, which I'm hoping is where we'll just get those prototype rules for family and stuff, which I hope is either some kind of philosophy or it's just a new principle that you get when you get partnership that's included in Gambler's Chest. So that's why I was weary of buying Till Death Do Us Part, and why I've been weary of buying the white box for the speaker. But anyway, so with that, I've now reviewed almost all the white boxes, except for some of the huge promo ones, but all the big ones. So these are the big ones. Death Do Us Part was the other big one, which I've always wanted, but I think I'm just going to wait for Gambler's Chest and see if it's actually in there. And I just don't like the fact that it's been 3 or 4 years and he's never bothered to reword those prototypes. Even though he's doing in-house printing now, he could just fix that card up a little bit. And then the speaker Cult Knife. So the white speaker, white box, and Death Do Us Part. Those are my thoughts on those two. And now I've done 10th Anniversary, Echoes of Death, and then I also did another video where I did a whole bunch of other white boxes. So I just wanted to get this out for the Valentine's Day update and just have a little talk about Echoes of Death stuff and 10th Anniversary just to finish up my other white box reviews. And I know some people did enjoy when I was just doing the unscripted, just talking content. So I wanted to try to do that with the reviews, the non-serious ones. I know I'm going to do another review once I start Season 2 with the other monsters, and I'll do the old, like the other expansions, I'll continue them. I just want to do expansion reviews after I've got a gameplay video of them. So, so very cool. Thank you so much. It's always amazing. And I look forward to getting out episode 50 as soon as I can. And just thank you so much. Have a great Valentine's Day, even though I know this is late. And I'll see you, and I'm looking forward to Season 2. Thank you so much. It's so humbling.